The team was inspecting the scene, photographing the corpse. He was laying there on his back, in his own bed, lifeless and dull. "Sir, that's the director of the women's shelter." He was almost unrecognizable, marinating in his own liquids. The official autopsy would follow next week, but looking around, the cause of death was obviously either alcohol poisoning or choking on his own vomit. The kitchen was full of bottles, all empty, an open container of windshield fluid as well. Exactly one dirty glass with lip prints on the rim and its bottom containing a layer of what looked like said windshield fluid, diluted with whatever alcohol had been the last one to run out. It's unbelievable. Such a great man. With everything he's done for others, who would have guessed he was battling all this behind it all? "Ooh, you have a home bar," she said that night, admiring the impressive cabinet full of bottles of colorful liquids. "I don't understand any of these fancy drinks. Come on, explain them to me." And so he'd shown each bottle to her, explaining the expensive flavors, mixing them nice drinks to start their date right. Had the police suspected anything and dusted the scene for fingerprints, they would have found only the director's own prints on every single bottle. "How about you make us another round to get properly in the mood?" she'd asked that night, after discreetly pouring her own drink away. "Do you think it was, intentional? He had just divorced his 5th wife. I'd be suicidal too. Or he just drank without thinking." "How about one more drink? I want to try the green one," she'd said, forcing a post-coital smile on her face. "Oh, can you still walk? No worries then, I'll do it." And carefully, with her gloved hands, she'd pulled out the windshield fluid from her bag and mixed it into a large, deadly drink. He was already too drunk to even realize she wasn't drinking with him anymore. She just sat there, watching him for hours. "You know your wife? Well, your ex-wife. She told me you're a drunk, and what you do when you're drunk." "This will devastate our city. The victims of domestic violence have just lost perhaps the only pillar of safety they've ever known to a stupid drinking accident." After losing his pulse, she'd wiped him swiftly clean and washed her own glass to match the other clean dishes in the house. She didn't have all night, couldn't afford to lose her perfect attendance on the very day she needed an alibi. She'd gone back to the kitchen and very carefully emptied all the bottles into a big bucket to explain why he'd resorted to drinking windshield fluid, topping the gigantic cocktail with the condom they'd used. Those were the kind of evidence she needed to take with her to make it an accident. The very same kind of accident his ex-wives and so many of the women who'd gone through that shelter used to get themselves into.